Mark Fowler Jr., Stephen Aaron Sipple, has been nothing but trouble since he re-emerged in Albert Square, and he continues to cause chaos for those around him next week in EastEnders. As time quickly runs out for him to repay his debt to the shadowy boss of his former gang, he continues to manipulate Lauren Branning, Jacqueline Jossa, earning the ire of her dad, Max Branning, Jake Wood. While on the day of Nigel Bates' Paul Bradley funeral, the Mitchell siblings Phil, Grant and Sam, Steve McFadden, Ross Kemp and Kim Metcalf, are forced to launch a rescue mission. Can they save Mark from a truly grisly fate? With the time to say a final goodbye to her beloved finally arriving, Julie Bates, Karen Henthorne, struggles to find the words to properly celebrate Nigel. When she finally decides to open the letter he left her, what will she discover? Oscar Branning, Pierre Cownahan Mullier, continues to struggle with balancing his feelings for girlfriend Jasmine Fisher, Indiana Donaldson Holness, and his undeniable connection with her twin brother, Josh Goodwin, Joshua Vaughn. How long can he resist temptation? Elsewhere, Gina Knight, Francesca Henry, continues to question her dad, George Colin Salmon, over the presence of Eddie Knight, Christopher Fairbank, and Denise Fox, Diane Parrish, continues to suffer exhaustion. So those are the preliminary bouts. Who's ready for the main event? Monday, May 18th. Lauren is left reeling when she learns from Max that some vintage cars sold at their lot have been found burnt out. But when Sam provides Mark with a fake alibi, she accuses her dad. He's wounded and reveals he was about to hand over half of the car lot to Lauren, but she declines, wanting to earn her portion. As Mark continues to seduce Lauren into selling his stolen cars, Peter tells her that Jimmy's nursery has a place open, and when learns they can't afford it, she agrees to go into business with Mark. As Josh, Jasmine and Oscar bond over a childhood game, Oscar struggles with his attraction to both of the twins. He's forced to comfort Josh when Jasmine learns he played their game with Sandra and storms away, and they share an incredibly electric moment. Elsewhere, Gina continues to press her dad over Eddie's presence, but he refuses to engage. Tuesday, May 19th. Despite Grant's revelation that he's sold his bar in Portugal to pay his debt, Mark refuses to accept his help. As he comforts Lauren and promises to take the fall should their scam go belly up, Max is suspicious of Mark and learns of his history when Jack Branning, Scott Massillin, investigates. Mark receives a warning from the gang and heads to the car lot, coaxing Priya Nandrahart, Sophie Conlevy, into letting him access the safe. He drops his keys after he has second thoughts, and as he finally considers accepting his dad's help, he's kidnapped by a group of masked men. Josh and Oscar agree to stay far apart, both aware their attraction to each other would cause seismic trouble, leading Oscar to confide in Penny Branning, Kitty Castledine, about his predicament. Later, Josh makes Oscar jealous by flirting with a guy in the Albert. Meanwhile, Sam is concerned for Denise when she admits that she's constantly and unexplainably tired. Wednesday, May 20th. On the day of Nigel's funeral, Vicky Fowler, Alice Haig, and Grant panic over Mark's absence before the gang boss calls Grant and demands full payment of his debt, further infuriated when he hears Sam's voice. Phil is determined to not jeopardize the funeral, as Julie struggles to come up with a eulogy before her loved ones help with memories of their beloved Nigel. It soon becomes apparent that Mark's situation can't wait, and Phil, Grant, Sam and Billy move to rescue him, leading to a deadly standoff. The Mitchells make it back in time and Phil and Julie share an important moment before Sam demands private time with her brothers. Thursday, May 21st. Grant finds himself in hot water when a trip to the Vic ends up in a fierce clash with Harvey Monroe, Ross Boatman, that results in Cat Moon, Jesse Wallace, booting him out of the door. With enough money to seal her victory, Lauren is congratulated by Max, but left with a stern warning over getting involved with Mark. Discovering Mark's keys in the car lot, he turns to Priya for an explanation. Meanwhile, Julie finally summons the courage to read Nigel's final letter to her. Next week in EastEnders, Walford is plunged into an emotional and unforgettable chapter, as the community gathers to say a final goodbye to one of its most beloved legends. The square is shaken by grief, long-buried secrets, and unexpected confrontations as the funeral day arrives. But not everything goes to plan, and emotions quickly spiral out of control. The week begins in silence. The usual noise of Albert Square feels muted, as residents wake up to the news that has already spread overnight. A Walford icon has passed away. Flowers begin to appear outside the Queen Vic almost instantly, left by locals who grew up watching, arguing with, or being supported by the departed figure. For many, it feels like losing a piece of their own history. Inside the Vic, the atmosphere is tense and heavy. The pub, usually full of life and gossip, becomes a place of quiet reflection. Elaine tries to keep things together, but even she struggles as memories flood back. Shirley's old words echo through conversations, and Mick's legacy is mentioned more than once as people struggle to accept that someone so deeply connected to Walford's identity is gone. Preparations get underway. Tensions begin to surface within the family at the center of the tragedy. Old rivalries resurface over who should speak at the service, what should be said, and even how the legend should be remembered. One character insists on a perfect tribute, while another argues that the truth, messy and complicated, should not be hidden. Meanwhile, Kat and Alfie find themselves unexpectedly dragged into the emotional storm when a personal connection to the deceased is revealed. Kat is torn between supporting the grieving family and confronting her own unresolved feelings. Alfie, ever the peacemaker, attempts to hold things together, but even he struggles as secrets begin slipping out in heated conversations behind closed doors. At the Mitchell household, things are no calmer. Phil tries to remain stoic, but the loss hits harder than expected. A rare moment of vulnerability sees him alone in the living room, staring at an old photograph that reminds him of better days. However, his grief quickly turns into frustration when a disagreement erupts over logistics for the funeral procession. Ben's absence is felt deeply, adding another layer of emotional weight to the Mitchells' already fractured dynamic. Elsewhere, a shocking twist emerges when it's revealed that the deceased had recently changed their will. This discovery sends shockwaves through the square. A number of residents who expected nothing suddenly find themselves included, while others, who believed they were closest, are left out entirely. This revelation threatens to turn mourning into conflict, as whispers spread quickly through the community. By midweek, Walford is in turmoil. Two residents clash in the arches after a heated argument about the past resurfaces, forcing others to step in before things turn physical. Meanwhile, Stacy becomes suspicious that someone is deliberately stirring up drama during an already fragile time. Her instincts prove correct when she uncovers a series of anonymous messages hinting at hidden wrongdoing connected to the deceased's final days. As the funeral day arrives, the square is transformed. Black suits, somber dresses, and tearful faces fill the streets. The hearse slowly approaches, and a hush falls over everyone. Even the usual chaos of Walford seems to pause, as if the entire community is holding its breath. Inside the church, emotions run high. The eulogy begins with heartfelt memories, laughter through tears as stories of the legend's life are shared, moments of kindness, mischief, and resilience that shape generations. But just as the service seems to be reaching a peaceful moment, a sudden interruption changes everything. A late arrival at the funeral causes visible shock. One resident believed to be abroad suddenly appears at the back of the church, drenched from the rain and visibly distressed. Their presence immediately raises questions. Where have they been and why return now? Murmurs ripple through the congregation as attention shifts away from the coffin and toward the unexpected guest. Outside, tensions reach breaking point. A confrontation erupts between two grieving family members over something said during the service. Harsh words are exchanged, and years of buried resentment spill into the open. The situation escalates so quickly that it nearly overshadows the funeral entirely, until another resident steps in to break things apart. Back inside, the final farewell approaches. As the coffin is carried out of the church, a sudden symbolic moment stops everyone in their tracks. A personal item believed lost is revealed to have been secretly placed inside, suggesting someone had been holding on to a deep, hidden connection with the deceased all along. The revelation leaves several characters visibly shaken. In the final scenes of the week, Walford is left to process the aftermath. The square slowly empties after the burial, but the emotional impact lingers. Some residents head to the Vic to drink in silence, others walk alone through familiar streets replaying memories in their minds. However, the final shot delivers a chilling hint that the story is far from over. As the lights dim across Albert Square, a mysterious figure is seen watching from a distance, holding something that belonged to the deceased. Their expression is unreadable, but their presence suggests that the truth behind the legend's final days may not yet be fully known. And in true Walford fashion, the goodbye is not just an ending. It is the beginning of something far more explosive. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to EastEnders Spoilers Official.